I recently been getting backlash for a comment that I made about a certain topic. And we're going to address that in this episode.
What's up, real ones? Welcome back to the Relationship Podcast, where we're bringing the real back to relationships.
Yes, sir.
I'm Asha Steele.
I'm Devin Steele.
And we're so excited that you guys are tuning in today with us.
Yeah, because this one's going to be interesting. I don't know if it's going to be good, but I know it's going to be interesting because I recently been getting backlash for a comment that I made about a certain topic. And we're going to address that in this episode. But before we get into that, we got some announcements y'all know we got made.
Yes, we have a huge announcement, which I think is very exciting for not only us, but for you guys, because we are doing a giveaway for our real ones, but most importantly for our real ones in our text community. So you want to share what we have for them?
Yeah, so one of the reasons why we decided to do this giveaway is because like normally when me and Asha go grocery shopping for the household, we spend around $200 a week for everything. And recently when we've been going shopping, like the cost has been like $300 for the same items. Like inflation is going crazy, and we know that it's hitting a lot of people's pockets hard. So we wanted to try to come up with a way that we can really help our real ones through this inflation that we're all going through. So what we're going to be doing is in our text community, we're just going to be picking random people to send things to, whether it be gas cards, money for groceries, paying bills, like whatever we can do to really help out our real ones is the goal for this. So if you want to be a part of the giveaway, make sure you text giveaway to 302-231-0338. And again, we're not going to be announcing the giveaways, we're just going to do it. We're just going to select random people in our text community. So make sure you join and text giveaway to that number I just provided y'all.
Yes. So moving right along, you guys, to our Keeping It Real moment. You got something you want to keep it real about this week?
So as y'all know from our last episode, me and Asha were out Napa Valley last week because I had to host an event for cancer research. And while we were there, we had this dinner where people were just donating money. You raise your paddle to donate a certain amount of money to the cause. And this one lady, this was early in the night, she raised her paddle and donated $1 million. And it just blew me away. Because first of all, I'm like, darn, how much money you got to have in order to just donate $1 million?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was just inspiring that we were in a room with people who cared that much about that cause and had the resources in order to support this cause. And it, like coming from where we come, you don't see that. You don't rub elbows with people who just have $1 million to be like, here, go ahead and take that. And it's like, one day I want us to get to that where we have causes that are very important to us. And I want to be in a room where I can just be like, here's a ticket.
Right.
Go ahead and do what you need to do. Like, it was just crazy to be around those type of people.
Yeah. And keep in mind, she didn't just donate $1 million because she was donating money earlier in the night.
Yeah, she probably donated a total of 1.5.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot. And it was within a hour time frame, right? That all of this money was accumulated to donate to this cause. And it was just an amazing cause that it was being donated to. Just like you said, to be in a room where people are able to do that, it was very inspiring because it let you know the opportunity that's out there for you to be in that position one day to do the same. So I thought it was an awesome event and a great cause and a great turnout, of course, for all the donations. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I think it's important for our listeners to understand this too, that you got to do what you can to be in those type of rooms. Like, your net worth is determined off your net worth. So you have to do what you need to do in order to get rooms so you can rub elbows with people who are moving and shaking, right? Because they're able to drop game on us that we would have never been able to hear because we're in the same rooms as them. So like when you see different events going on, it's important to like pay for those tickets. So just to be in the proximity, like there's power in proximity. When you're around the right people, a lot of great things can happen for you. So I just think that it's cool to be a part of that because cancer is close to us. We've been through a lot because of cancer, and Leah's battled with cancer, but we've found ways to see the positive in what we were going through, positives and the negative, and really just try to find the opportunities in the struggle.
Right. And also, can we get a clap, though? Can I get a round of applause, please?
Yeah, let me give you a round of applause.
Yes, because it is well deserved, because you did an amazing job. He hosted an event. It was your first time like hosting an event of that,
man.
like that,
of that
and
magnitude.
he like killed it. Like, it was amazing. The feedback was amazing. So many people came up to us, up to you, just like praising how you did even the night before at the event prior to that. But I think you did an amazing job, and so I wanted to congratulate you on that, because I know it was a little nerve wracking.
I just wanted to make you proud. I'm used to playing football in front of crowds, and you want to make them cheer and all this other stuff. So when you're in the crowd, I just try to make you proud. So I was nervous, but you took my nerves away. So shout out to you.
Okay, you guys. So next up, our message from a real one. Message! Oh my goodness. So, like the other one, this is a very long-winded message, but I'm going to break it down. Okay? So it says, I wanted to reach out to you guys after I recently listened to the I Cheated podcast, which was a huge eye-opener for me. I recently went through a breakup with my girlfriend due to infidelity. I cheated on her with an ex during the period I was at my lowest and wasn't communicating well with my current girlfriend. I planned to tell my girlfriend and set up a meetup for us the Friday that it happened, but my ex made a fake account to spill the news and to my girlfriend before I could do so. She was furious, rightfully so, and removed me from all her social media networks, etc. I want to know he said he wants to know what he needs to do and is willing to do whatever it takes to rectify the relationship that they had, but he doesn't know where to start.
You want to go ahead and attack this first?
Okay. So that's a lot to process, of course. But for one, I would just say it's understandable that you want to, have some type of communication with her. You want to resolve the situation because you understand your mess ups, your mistake, but you have to be mindful of the position that she's in, right? Because you hurt her. You hurt the person that you love. You did something that betrayed her trust and broke her heart probably. And so in doing that, you have to, in a sense, suffer the consequences of your actions. So if that is her not wanting to speak to you at the time, if that is her not wanting to resolve it or not wanting to move forward with the relationship, you have to allow her that space for her to process and determine if she wants to move forward, right. Because unfortunately, like I said, it's consequences to our actions. So even if you realize it, that like after the fact, oh, I did this and I know why I did it and I was wrong for doing it, sometimes just realizing that is not enough for the person to receive whatever message you want to give them, whatever apology, whatever you want to do. So you have to allow her that space to process and really determine if she wants to move forward.
Yeah. And I don't think that you just need to give her space for her, but I think you need to give space for yourself. Yeah. Instead of trying to fight to win her back, I think you have to fight in order to grow. Mm-hmm. Because if you haven't grown as far as communication, if you haven't grown as far as learning how to turn towards your partner when you're going through low moments instead of turning away, you're going to continue to hurt her, even if she takes you back. Mm-hmm. So this needs to be a time where you are doing that work in order to become a better man, a better communicator, somebody that has empathy, somebody who is emotionally intelligent and really can understand how our relationships work, or else you're going to continue to rip open that wound that you have now caused later down the road. So the focus shouldn't be getting her back. The focus should be on becoming a better man.
Right. So, whew, child, that was a lot, and it's about to be a lot more because getting into today's topic, right? So we saw, or Devin saw first, a post on the Shade Room. Of course, if y'all follow, y'all know sometimes he be in the comments and it get a little rowdy, right?
A little bit.
Some feathers get ruffled. And so it was speaking on dating opportunities for men being decreased due to more healthy relationship standards on the rise for women, right? And so before we get into the topic and really diving deep into it, I just had to say, this could have been my real moment, my keeping it real.
Well,
okay?
Keep it real with us right now.
But I just had to say, okay, I feel like a lot of times, you guys, on social media, it's like a breeding ground for negativity, right?
Yeah.
Like people go in to certain platforms, certain pages, certain comments, just looking to just go ham.
Right.
And like really like not even attack the issue or really state their opinion, but just to really bash people.
Yeah, insults.
Yeah, to add insult to injury, right? So I'm just like, okay, I just had to say this because there's a lot of people who felt the need to comment to me.
You gotta read that one comment that somebody said.
I don't even have it to pull up,
I
but
think
I'm
you
just going to
screenshotted it to
summarize. Because it was more than one, and usually I'm the type of person to be completely honest with y'all. If you comment something on my page, or if you add me or you DM me, 9 times out of 10 I'll see it, but it doesn't really affect me because I'm gonna delete it and I'm gonna block you, and you don't even know if I've seen it or if I'm affected by it either way, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, what you're doing with your time is just wasting it. And so, but I felt the need to say something because it's so crazy to me, because I see this happen with other people as well. Mm-hmm. How someone can go on to a social media platform and see a comment and just attack that person's character, right? And then attack their family's character, attack their family dynamic. And someone was saying, you got the comment?
Yeah, I'm about to read it. You want me to read it right now?
Okay, but before you read that one, it was another one, right?
Yeah.
Another one after this that was just basically saying how under a post that had nothing to do with the comment. It was like a love post that I recently posted for us. But it was just saying how they don't understand how I can be with a man that's, you know, basically so horrible and all this other stuff. And I'm in a relationship that's so horrible because of him and how he thinks and all this other stuff. And it really made me realize, like, the same way that y'all are making an assumption based off of a comment that he said on social media, you're making an assumption about my relationship. Right. That you have no idea about. You're making an assumption about a man's character that you have no idea about. And a lot of times when we make assumptions, we make asses of ourselves. Right. And instead of doing that, it's like, why even spread that negativity? Allow for it to be social media, to be what it is, to be an open platform for you to state your opinion about things, but not to go on just trying to be negative and nasty, right? Yeah. And don't bring that negativity to my page. Because either way, you ain't going to know if it affects me, and it don't.
And don't bring negativity to me, because I literally be sitting here laughing at y'all comments with my wife. Like, I promise you, it doesn't bother me the least bit. Like, I'm going to keep it real regardless of what people think. Mm-hmm. And that's just what it's going to be. But I need to read y'all what somebody said. So, because they went to Asha's page after my comment, and they wrote her this. They said, please get away from this man. This is straight up embarrassing. And you have to split bills and keep going through 9 months of labor, damn near giving your life to have to do the same duties as him in the relationship and be made fun of under posts. If you can do everything yourself, you don't need him. Wake up. You're a beauty queen. Men would literally kiss the ground that you walk on, and you never have to lift a finger. You need to run for the hills. Then she proceeded to comment again. Okay. I take that back. I see the children now. Mama's baby, Papa's maybe. Keep doing you, boo. Y'all are crazy, bro. Okay. Let me just tell y'all, number one, why you crazy. You're like, y'all really can't tell when something is a joke. When I be writing Asha in the shade room and I be saying I expect half the mortgage, I expect half the bills, it's a joke. Yes. I would never come at my wife like that on a public forum. Like, are you serious?
Not only on a public forum, he don't even come at me like that in real life. Like that is not the reality. That is clickbait. That is promotion. That is to get y'all feathers ruffled for y'all to come to the page and do exactly what you're supposed to do, which is give the engagement. Social media feeds off of engagement, and y'all are doing that by allowing these comments to just get y'all in a frenzy.
And if you saw my daughter's toes, like I have. Listen, I know that these are my daughters. It's gonna talk about mama's babies, papa's maybe. My feet look like this. Like if you can't see them because you listening to audio, they're crossed. Like my second and third toe, like they're crossed. And when you look at my daughters, their toes are crossed as well, just like mine. They would never be able to wear flip-flops without being like self-conscious about it. Like I know those are my babies. How you going to try to tell me they're not my babies because you don't like my comment? Like, I don't understand, but it's cool. Let's get into the topic now. Yeah,
because that's a clear reflection of what was going on. But I want you to go ahead and just start by, giving your input on the conversation or why it even got to the point that it got to.
Yeah, so the title, the post that the Shade Room made, it said that studies say men are at their loneliest as healthier relationship standards arise. Mm-hmm. And I went and I reviewed the article and the research that they used in the article, that they referenced in the article. Mm-hmm. And I came back after reading the research and I said, healthy standards in quotation marks is a nice way to put it, laugh out loud. The main reason for this is the high financial expectations women now have for men. Because in the Shade Room's caption, it talked about how one study shared by the outlet from 2019 suggests that men ages 25 to 54 are the fastest growing group of long-term single people. And that's because women want their men to be able to communicate better and be more emotionally intelligent. Mm-hmm. When that wasn't the main findings of the study. Like the main findings of the studies that were referenced in the article was that women have a high expectation when it comes to finances for men. So I simply came into the Shade Room to give the true findings of the research, and I guess people didn't like it. And you pointed out to me, maybe it's because you put LOL to it. Yeah. But I wasn't laughing at women. I was laughing at the term healthier relationship standards.
Right.
Because, go ahead, you was about to say something.
But I don't even think that it was who you were laughing at. I think a lot of times, just the same way that if you're texting someone, like people perceive when you're looking at something that's written, whether it be on social media or in a text message, stuff like that, they perceive and read what they're looking at in their own way, right? So you can't really hear the tone of what you're saying. You don't really know the context or where you're coming from. And especially if you on go mode, like you like ready to defend, yourself and state your comment about how you feel about the post and everything. You see something and if it's against what you believe in, you're automatically going to go in and state your opinion, right? And you're going to look at it from a negative perception. Right. So I feel like just looking at that, some people could have perceived it as sarcasm by saying, oh, the quotation marks and the LOL, or even perceiving it as negativity because it's like, I don't agree with this. And now I'm about to tell you why I don't agree with this.
Yeah. But it's not that you're not agreeing with me because it wasn't my opinion. It was the actual findings of the research. But a lot of women was writing me like, oh, you're trying to say women are gold diggers. I never said that. You're trying to say that women only want men for their money, that women are only attracted to millionaires. Mm-hmm. Never said it as well. I said high financial expectations. A lot of women were saying, did you even read the article or did you even look at the research because you don't know what you're talking about? So we're going to use this episode to really break down what the research was saying, because I think a lot of times people can manipulate things to try to fit their argument. You hear it all the time when people are trying to make points on social media. It says research says, but it's like all research is not the same. Like, where are you getting your research from? You can't just say that and not really be able to provide where that research is coming from, right? Mm-hmm. The references. So we're going to walk through, we're not going to take a lot of time, but we're going to walk through this article and really pull up some of the research that they reference in here. And the first one they referenced was the Psychology Today. And what people have to realize that the Psychology Today article is not research, it's an article, right? And in this article, he talked about how one of the reasons why men are lonely. First of all, let's get into the lonely thing, because that's the first thing in this article. That article was based off a study that was determining how lonely people are, which loneliness has been increasing over time just because of the things that people are going through with COVID and all this other stuff. So it was measuring the amount of loneliness in the world, right? Mm-hmm. And the study shown that most men are lonelier than women. But what people don't realize is they were talking that those findings were highlighting individualistic cultures, meaning countries that are all about self-actualization and not the collective growth of everybody, which is mainly based in countries like the UK. So first of all, it wasn't really representative of people within the US. Like, they didn't find similar findings or that heightened loneliness in the US. It was in individualistic cultures. That's the first thing.
And before you go deeper into that, let's just clarify, because I think where a lot of the confusion came from is the article versus the research, right? Because when you go to the Shade Room's link to read what the post is, you have the picture, what the caption says, and then you go to actually click the link in their website and read what the article is all about. People are just reading the article portion of it. Mm-hmm. So whereas the article portion is talking mainly about what you're getting into, about the healthier relationship standards, and you're about to break it down, the research, which is also pulled from the article and it's only bits and pieces. What you were talking about was not in the article. No. That was in the research, which the article was based off of, or supposed to be loosely based off the research. So I think that is the confusion that we first need to clarify, is that if you're reading an article and you're not reading the research, then right there you're going to bump heads.
Yeah, authors manipulate research in order to make the argument. There's nothing wrong with it, because it means that you have to go do your own actual due diligence to try to find out if what they're saying is true. Mm-hmm. So the next thing that they talked about in the article is, it says the reason why men are lonely is because of relationship standards. It says, with so many options, it's not surprising that women are increasingly selective. I do a TikTok show and speak with hundreds of audience members every week. I hear reoccurring dating themes from women between the ages of 25 and 45. They prefer men who are emotionally available, good communicators, and share similar values. So a lot of women were also saying to me in the comments that you didn't read it. As you can see in the research or the article, it said that women want people who are emotionally available, good communicators, and share similar values, which I think is extremely important, that women do want that. However, he is basing that off of anecdotal research. He's basing that off of his show, what he hears people say. That's not real research, because it's not being peer reviewed by anybody. You're making an assumption based off of what you hear on your show. I don't see that in the articles that the Shade Room reference in order to write the article as well, because he doesn't really reference that in his article. So I went to the Shade Room, and then I went to the Pew Research, where it suggested that men ages 25 to 24 are the fastest group of long-term single people since 1990, right? Let me pull that up really quick. All right. So in that article, it clearly states, it's talking about finances. It says that roughly 7 in 10 adults say it is very important for a man to be able to support a family financially to be a good husband or partner. That's 71% of people. That's not talking about being a good communicator. That's not talking about being emotionally available. It talks about being a provider. And what they also pointed out in the same Pew study is that, I want to make sure I get the numbers right. It says that Blacks and Hispanics are more likely than whites to place a high level of importance on being able to financially support a family when it comes to being a good spouse or partner. Blacks are at 84%. Mm-hmm. So average American, 71%. Blacks are 84%. That's 84% where you're putting the focus on financial stability, which is what I was highlighting in my comment, that plays a major role in the dating market. Because if women's salaries have been increasing since World War II, right? They've been finding their financial independency as they've been getting into the market. And then since COVID, since 2019, more women are starting businesses. Their salaries are increasing faster than men. So what happens is women are expecting men to make as much money as they're making or more, which I have absolutely no problem with. You should want your man to be financially stable. The only issue is if your salary is growing faster than men. The average man in 2019, according to the Pew study, is making around $35,000 a year. How is that possible? You're expecting him to make as much as you're making, if not more. You're expecting him to pay most of the bills. how is that really going to happen if the average salary is $34,000, $35,000 a year? Mm-hmm. So that right there, before we talk about communication, before we talk about emotional intelligence, most men are not even meeting the financial requirements of women because they're not making the level of income that they want them to make. Mm-hmm. Therefore, the dating pool for men significantly decreases. And then if you're not emotionally intelligent, if you're not a good communicator, it decreases even more. Mm-hmm. So I really don't understand that at all. I don't really understand how people really got upset because of my comments. And even still, in another article, the same article that they referenced, it says, because a lot of black women were coming at me too about this, that, oh, don't be mad at us because we're leaving men behind because y'all don't want to get y'all stuff together. It's important for y'all to really read these articles to find out the real details of the articles, because although loneliness for men is increasing, the same article that y'all told me I didn't read, it says for most racial and ethnic groups, men are more likely than women to be unpartnered, to be single. The exception is among black adults, where women are 62% more likely to be unpartnered than men, which are at 55%. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't even talking about the black community. It was talking about other communities, because women are more likely to be lonely. I don't even want to say lonely, because being single doesn't mean you're lonely. Mm-hmm. But more women in the black community are more likely to be single than black men. So do I think that women want men to be emotionally intelligent? Absolutely. Do I think that men should be? Absolutely. Do I think women want men to be good communicators? Absolutely. Do I think men should work on their communication skills? Absolutely. But the research is saying that the big issue is not those two things. It is the financial imbalance. And when I say it's the main reason, that doesn't mean it's the only reason. Just like main course doesn't mean it's the only part of the dinner. It means that is the big portion, but there are other variables that play a part in this.
Yeah, I think to be honest, to break everything down, because it's a whole lot of verbiage and wording going on. Just to summarize it, okay, just from my perception, because I went to the article and like a lot of the women were stating, the article said what it said as far as what you read about, the healthier relationship standards, referring to emotional availability and communication, and the skilled effects of men being able to pretty much meet those needs, right? That was what was within the article. I think from the psychologist, I want to say his name was Matos or something like that. Matos. Right? So that was the article. That was literally the article. To be able to say what you said was pulled from, if you see like the highlighted portion where it says the research from Pew Research Center. Right. The information in which you were providing was not in the article. Right. You would have to click on the hyperlink or go to the other sources to see the information from that was in the research, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's the first thing, is the lack of communication or understanding of, okay, I'm reading an article. I read this article, and this article says that we're talking about healthier standards as far as communication and being available and stuff like that. You're not wrong. Yeah. You're not wrong. Because that's exactly what he wrote in the article, and that's exactly what he referenced, straight to the point. That's what it was about. But if you go to, like I said, the research, which is also cited, not stated in the article, but cited, it says other things. And just like you were saying, amongst the other things that it was saying, because in the research, it touched on the connection that is not, as far as like just being in different, like you said, different communities, different diversities and everything. It was basically breaking it down in different categories of why it is what it is, why the rates are what they are, right? Mm-hmm. And so and listen to me, okay? I don't do all the research stuff, right? You just spent a whole year doing research papers going through research, it's a lot, right? So I may have been one of those people to say, oh, that's not in the article. What you talking about? And came at someone negatively if I was thinking like that, right? Because it's just what's in front of my face of what I read without clicking on and going deeper into. But just like you said, in the research article, it was talking about the decline in marriage altogether, the decline in partnership, and it was saying how it was a rise in cohabitating and certain like diversities and certain things like that, right? And so you have to actually indulge in the actual research of the article for you to sit up here and make a comment in the way that it was made. So I think that's the first thing that we need to clarify. That's the main thing I feel like we need to clarify, because just like you're completely right in saying what's in the article, what's not in the article. You're right in saying what's in the research. Either way, you didn't write the article, you didn't write the research.
That's what I'm saying. I don't even want to be right. I'm just trying to give you the information. Like, this is not my opinion. It's just
breaking it down. Yeah. And we were talking yesterday to a few people, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like sometimes articles or research stuff can be biased because it's just like, oh, well, it was a select group of people that they're basing it off of, right? Which is true for anything. They're not going to do the research on all of America, all of the world. Like, that's impossible, right? And so, of course, it is biased to a certain extent because it's a select group, but it's a majority of the research base. So that's why it's held to a different standard of just an article based off of TikTok, right? And so that, I think, is the main difference. But we were having a discussion yesterday, just asking people that we know about how they felt about dating a man that was making equivalent to what they made or more, right? Or the standards in which they want their man to, you know, be at, or they want to be at, right? Yeah. And just in that select pool of people that we did our little research on, it was a certain amount of people saying certain things, right?
Like, let's give them an example. So one of the things we asked, okay, if you're making $60,000 a year, how much would you want your man to make? And they would say at least the same or more.
Exactly.
That presents a problem if in 2019 the research says that the average salary for a man is $35,000. That means that more men are going to have a struggle getting into relationships because they don't meet the financial requirements. But even when you dig into it even deeper, most women don't want to pay 50% of the bills. So a man is going to have to make close to six figures if you want to live above a certain level in order to date a woman, because you're going to have to pay most of the bills. So $35,000 is not going to cut it. $60,000 is not going to cut it. Depending on where you live, you may have to make $100,000 or more based off the cost of living in order for y'all to live comfortably.
Right.
That means more men are going to struggle to find partners. Women are going to struggle to find partners. And I'm not saying that women should lower their standards. No, you got your standards, but understand that some of those standards are really based off of research unrealistic. You're not going to find it because everybody's fighting after the same type of man. So it's going to be harder to find a man. It's going to be harder for men to find women because there's just a clash on what the standards are, what people are expecting. That's all we wanted to highlight. And another thing that I know you had more to say, but another thing I wanted to highlight is a lot of the comment that I made in the Shade Room. Like I said, I wasn't really satisfied with the research that was presented in the article. So I wanted to really dig more into it. So what we decided to do was to go to the Journal of Marriage and Family. And for those of you who don't know what the Journal of Marriage and Family is, I'm going to read it for you so you can understand that there's a difference in research. Like, all research is not the same. So the Journal of Marriage and Family is published by the National Council on Family Relations, and it's been the leading research journal in the family field for more than 75 years. And it's consistently the most highly cited journal in family science. Why that's important is this. In order to get published in the top family journal, it means your research has to be peer reviewed, which basically means that you do research, you write about it in an article. Before it's published in this journal, they push it out to other psychologists, others, sociologists, and they have to try to pick apart your article. They have to try to prove it wrong. And if they can't prove it wrong, if enough psychologists and sociologists approve it, then it gets published in the journal. that it's not the same case with the article that the person read. Like I said, it's anecdotal. And if you look at this article in the Journal of Marriage and Family, it's called Mismatches in the Marriage Market. And the study identified recent marriages from 2008 to 2012 and 2013 to 2017, cumulative over 5 years, right? This study was done in 2019. The research that the article was based off was in 2017, which means this is more up to date. And its major findings is that the decline in marriage are driven at least in part by the reductions in employment prospects and earnings among men, especially less skilled racial and ethnic minorities at the bottom of the education distribution, high rates of incarceration, and substantial out marriage to white women, specifically among black men, have also left many minority women without marital partners. The fact that women's educational levels now exceed men's implies that young women, by necessity, are less financially dependent on husbands than in the past, that educational has become more commonplace. Young women seemingly face shortages of demographically similar men to marry. They're not meeting the standards educationally. They're not meeting the standards financially. And this is from the #1 research journal in marriage and family. So I don't really get the outrage of people based on my comment, because it was based off of actual research and not anecdotal stuff like the article.
Well, I'll say, to sum it up, I feel like sometimes it's the messenger and not the message, right? Sometimes we perceive certain information, whether it be right or wrong, whether it be research or not, from certain people negatively than if we was to receive that message from someone else, right? And as a woman, I feel like there's absolutely nothing wrong nowadays, moving forward in the future or even in the past, to have certain standards, whether it be for your healthier emotional standards, communication standards, and even higher financial standards. Like we just said in the beginning, prices for gas, prices for groceries, prices for living, the cost of living is raising. It's on a rise. And so, of course, you're going to want to have a certain expectation for your life in general, right? And so I think it's absolutely nothing wrong with stating that and just making that clear. Me as a woman, I have higher expectations all around. Communication, financial, not only for my partner, but for myself as well. And so just being able to admit that and have an open discussion to say, okay, you know what? I understand where you're coming from. Let me dive a little bit deeper and let me share my perspective. And no, it may not be the same as yours, but we can have a healthy dialogue about the topic and be able to communicate without all the negativity.
Yeah, and my message to men would be this. I get it's a struggle out here. I get the barriers that are placed, the ceilings that are placed as far as the income that we can make from institutions. But the world is changing. Social media is changing. You have an opportunity to make supplemental income to really increase your overall income by going out here and hustling and starting new things, starting new businesses, starting side gigs, right? And promoting it and going in, waking up every single day and just going in to provide for yourself and to provide for your family. And what I mean by going in is like, look, I know a lot of y'all are listening to this podcast because you came over from the Shade Room and you see me in the Shade Room a lot. I wouldn't even say a lot because people be like, yo, you always in the comment section. I'm really not. And if you see me in the comment section, that means you're always there as well. But I actually just finished grad school, writing a capstone. So I'm not always in there. But when there's a topic dealing with relationships, of course you're going to see me in there because I'm promoting a podcast. I believe in our mission. I believe in our business. So I'm going to promote our stuff regardless of what people say, because a lot of people are like, nobody's going to listen to it. That's false, because a lot of people listen to our podcast. And when it really take off, I'm going to show y'all that, yo, you have to block out negativity. If you believe in something, it only matters that you believe in it and go full tilt in it. And that will be able to make up the ceilings that they're placing on you in institutions. Do we need to do better? Absolutely. Do we need to, because a lot of this, in one of the articles, it talks about that men I think it was only 36%. It was probably less than that. A low percentage of men have a bachelor's degree or have a certain level of education, and the job market is taking away those jobs that you could do with just a high school diploma. So a lot of men are struggling to find jobs. Mm-hmm. So of course we have to further our education to make us better prepared or more equipped for the jobs that are out there right now, because AI is taking away a lot of stuff. But we have to do our part to add more value, because a man is really, he looks at respect and value the same way, right? And the more value that a man has, the more respect that the world gives him, the more respect that his family gives him. So we have to continue to grow every single day, perfect our crafts, become better men, and we'll be more valued by the community. That's just how it goes, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. So for both ladies and men, having healthier standards, I feel like it's up to you. If that is having healthier communication standards, if it is healthier financial standards, what works for you. Because at the end of the day, it's your relationship. You want to be happy. You want to be healthy. You want to be involved with your partner, and you want them to feel the same. So I feel like both of us need to step up to the plate and raise our standards and meet those standards.
Stop putting the blame on everybody, pointing the finger at everybody else. We all have work to do. Women have work to do. Men have work to do. There's men that need to get better at communicating and be more emotionally intelligent. And there's definitely more women that need to get better at communicating and be more emotionally intelligent. So if we listen to each other and hear what we want from one another, and then we actually take the time to do the work, more marriages will happen and more people will be happy. That's the bottom line. So
yeah. So that work starts with y'all. So hopefully y'all listen to this podcast as an individual or a couple, and you really receive this information and process it and get something from it, right?
Yeah.
And until next time, you guys.
Stay off my page.
Keep it real.
Yes, sir.